All right, what we got here? How do Dems win back young men? Featuring Olivia Juliana. Isn't Olivia Juliana that one person who's like, I don't know, from. Wasn't she from Parkland? I feel like she got her prominent start from Parkland, and then all of a sudden she became like a Biden staffer or some shit, or Biden dead ender or something. I know that there's like this thing where Democratic consultants trying to reach out to young men, right? Like what? Democrat consultants, uh, young men. And there's like a thing about this, right? Democrats $20 million young, $20 million in speaking with American men, the Sam Project, and its Democratic operatives. Sure, man, totally. This is gonna be very effective. Can I not get whatever? Young men and other racial demographics. And I know like it's like a bunch of like shit that what it's like a bunch of Democratic consultants are doing this, and all I know is that this is not going to work. It's not going to be effective. I think so, along with David Hogg. That's where I remember seeing her as well, was that shit. But yeah, dude, what? Democrat ads in video games? Can we not have fucking political ads in video games? Because that's definitely going to really help appeal to young men, or whatever the. Like, this is not gonna fucking work, dude. Like, the thing is you want to know why? Okay, here is why Democrats lost with young men. Because the vibes were just wretched with the Democrats. That's it. It's just all vibes and stuff. We can make whatever policy prescriptions you want, but um men are fucking idiots, okay? I should know. I'm a fucking man, okay? We're fucking stupid dodo brains, okay? It's just all about like whatever is like cool. And to be a Democrat is not cool. Who the fuck wants to be a Democrat? No one wants to be a Democrat. But let's see. What are these two? Staunch, I don't know. Uh progressive advocates. Let's say that, have to say. I say the word progressive very loosely there.
Olivia writes a Substack, which probably, statistically speaking, like 89% of y'all read already. But Olivia, I want you to
I don't read her Substack.
talk about that Substack, and I also
I'm a misogynist now. I'm gonna go vote for Trump because I don't read Olivia's I don't read Olivia's fucking Substack. The problem these days is optics matter way more than even in 2016. Well, I mean, it's not optics, okay? I don't think it's optics, right? I think it's vibes and optics. I don't think are the same thing, okay? I don't think so. The problem is that Democrats, they just don't have the vibe. No one thinks it's cool or interesting to be a Democrat. They think it's like lip cuck and boring, and I would agree with them. And the problem is like, dude, like, duh. Think about the people who the Democrats primarily listen to, right? It's all these like stupid consultants. And the one time where they could have like, veered away from the stupid Clintonite consultancy class in New York fucking Democrats with Bernie Sanders, what do? They fucking actively snub who the people actually wanted in Bernie Sanders. Keep in mind, I also don't think that Bernie Sanders really has the sauce anymore. Because, like, what is, like, necessary nowadays? Anger, vitriol, hatred. Because fuck the Republicans. And fuck the Democrats, okay? Fuck all these limp dick fucking YouTubers and the fucking stupid Max or stupid meme, okay? All these limp dick tick chicken shit fucking dipshit ass fucking politicians, okay? Fuck these motherfuckers. Nobody likes them. Everyone fucking hates them because, well, Congress actively works against the interests for what people want. And that's just the fucking truth, dude. So, like what? What's the strategy here by Mika and Olivia? What do they think are gonna win back young men? I just said what's gonna win back young men. Grit, spine, showing a little bit of fucking anger and hate and vitriol, which are things the Democrats are never gonna fucking do.
I want you to talk about one of the newer articles that you wrote about why men drifted right in the previous election. I consider myself a resident expert on this because I am a man, so I feel like we could have an interesting conversation on the conclusions you reached in that article.
Men.
Yeah, so my Substack it's called A New Perspective, oliviajuliana.substack.com, and we're actually very close to hitting 100,000 subscribers on Substack. I'm very excited.
Soy!
But I write a lot about politics, and I hate that all these newsletters are the same. There's so many Substacks that you get on, and they're all telling you the same stuff. I don't want to do that. I want to give you a new perspective on the political issues that are going on. And so
that's the name of her Substack.
I keep
Whoa.
seeing people talk about young men in the 2020 cycle or in the 2024 cycle, and they keep saying like, well, it's because like they're not getting laid enough and they feel judged, and or alternatively,
that's not exactly an incorrect perspective, right? It's a bit crass and crude. I would say that's like part of the problem. But to I don't know. I'm not gonna say she's like trying to ignore like sociological issues, because again, we've talked about this sort of before. One of the main problems that a lot of men are facing is the fact that due to the fact that the economy is worse than ever. It is more difficult to be able to get a good, solid, paying fucking job, within this fucking economy. The problem becomes that, hey, what have men sort of been propagandistically sort of taught to, believe in? That they are supposed to be the main breadwinners of the house, that they are the main guy, that to essentially sort of be the main caregiver of the home and everything, to be the main guy working and shit like that. We don't live in that fucking reality anymore, okay? Good luck fucking trying to sustain yourself on a single fucking income, okay? That shit doesn't fucking work. That's not happening, okay? Nuh-uh. Ain't happening. You need at least 2 fucking incomes. And I mean, there's a lot of complicated socioeconomic and sociological reasons for as to why this is the case. Broader women's rights movements gaining a lot of traction and steam and whatnot and stuff like that. Which isn't that's not a bad thing per se. Whatever. That's the super sort of whatever point. Who the fuck cares about that shit? The issue is that men haven't been really given a fucking alternative, okay? A lot of the sort of marketing, I was going to say propaganda. Propaganda would not be correct here. A lot of the fucking marketing, broadly speaking, that has gone into the sort of, I don't want to say it's conditioning. The sort of marketing that has gone in this sort of current form, and this is of a large result because of Gamergate, has been sort of the girl boss liberal fucking feminism stuff. And I've talked about this before. There's the Dark Matter video, obviously, on the attack on Gamergate arc and shit like that. That broadly speaking, a lot of men feel like they are lost. They don't have a fucking purpose. They don't really know what they're supposed to be accomplishing, at least in the certain current day and age that we fucking find ourselves in, right? A lot of them are fucking lost because of these socioeconomic things that I'm sort of that I've sort of described earlier. And instead of being given solutions, what do they get instead? They get generally berated for it's all a women's time and shit like that. It made it very easy for the conservatives to sort of easily propagandize to them. And because, let's be honest here, a lot of the reason for as to why there's a lot more fucking incels and shit like that is because there's been a significant tick up in misogyny, right, amongst young men. Let's be fucking honest here. A lot of men just fucking hate women. Let's be fucking honest here, okay? A lot of them really, really fucking hate women. And that's one of the main fucking issues here, right? So, simply based off of the fact that Trump ran as misogynistic of a fucking campaign as he did, he was able to speak to that sort of, like, misogyny, right? Like, we all know about the popularity of, like, Andrew Tate and all these, like, the fucking morons and dipshits, right? You're fucking fresh and fits and whatnot. And a lot of it has stemmed from the fact that, well, a lot of the economic issues are just simply not being looked at, and it's just getting, well, worse. Job prospects, basically non-fucking existent. Good luck trying to fucking get a job out there in this current fucking market. It is fucking rough. It sucks, okay? It sucks in order to be able to earn like a sort of fucking one person sort of living, okay? Very, very, very hard to do that. So, that is a fucking factor, right? And if you just, if a bunch of like pop liberal feminists, like, you know, misandrous types, because they do exist, they're a minority, but like, it's very easy to misinterpret a lot of like what the points of like those BuzzFeed articles are making. It is very, very easy to misinterpret that stuff because crazy. Whoa, there's a bunch of propagandistics that can just kind of lie. Like, does it probably sort of like make sense? I feel like Dems aren't activated until material conditions get truly bad. I don't agree with that. I don't think Democrats give a fuck at all about material conditions. I don't think they care about that shit. Because, like, if they cared about material conditions, then they would have stopped the what was that one budget bill that had to be stopped at culture? They would have stopped that bill at culture if they cared about material conditions, because that fucking bill made material conditions worse, broadly speaking, for mostly their yes, the continuing resolution. They would have stopped that at culture, but they didn't do that. They all wanted to, but Chuck Schumer for some reason didn't. So I don't think they really care about that. Personally, I don't think the Democrats really care about much of anything. I'll be honest. I don't think they do. I don't think they give a shit about anything. So, as a result, since the Democrats don't really believe anything, they don't have like a sort of broader narrative to speak to, because that's like probably the biggest problem with the Democrats. At least with the Republicans, they have a narrative. It's a terrible narrative. It's a wretched narrative, but it's a narrative. Democrats don't have like anything to really speak to, and they are not willing to also sort of provide like not economic like relief. I don't know if that's like, I guess relief could be the correct term here, in order to be able to help sort of like alleviate these fucking problems. They don't give a shit about any of this stuff because they're also captured by the same billionaires. At least with the Republicans, they put up a better vibe in comparison to the Democrats, and so, well, because of this better vibe that the Republicans seemingly put up, which is stupid, I know, but whatever. It's American politics. It's all fucking dumb. As like a sort of result, they were more successful in comparison to the fucking Democrats, because the Democrats don't believe anything. They believe in nothing, right?
Well, they're just racist and they hate women. So like it's really, I see these takes coming out from both sides of the party wing, I would say, and I just think that all of that is wrong. I think all of it is wrong.
So she's not wrong when she says this, but like, let's be honest here. That had a pretty big factor to play. Or rather, mostly just misogyny, right? I think it's misogyny had a huge fucking part to play, right? A lot of young men want to see those fucking bitches get back into the kitchen so they can have their girlfriends and shit like that. Get back in the fucking kitchen. It's a part. I don't think it's explicit or exclusively that. It certainly had a part to play, though.
And so I wrote this piece called The Politics of Getting Laid and Preachy Females. And I really dive into what I actually perceive it to be. And shocker, it's all economic anxiety. I think the Democrats have a really bad problem of every time we message to young men, we frame it in a way that is wrapped up in the same principles that we critique. We critique the patriarchy. We critique the way that men have higher hierarchy and power structures, and then we message to them as if not only is that the reality, but that they have to continue to be like that. So the example I use in the article.
Yeah, this is broadly speaking the point that I've been fucking bringing up, right? In terms of like the sort of like messaging ineffectiveness. But I'm not really sure if like do Democrats really do that form of like sort of, I don't know, intersectional fucking analysis? Like, do they? I find that questionable at best. I don't think so. Not really. For them, it's all about like, I don't know. Honestly, the biggest factor is the fact that they just don't believe in anything, right? Like, Democrats just believe in nothing. And at least the fucking Republicans are willing to put out some narrative. A vitriolic fucking narrative. Which is what people want. They just want... They're angry, misguided, and they just want hate. Like, that's really about it. So, I don't think what she's saying is exactly wrong. I don't think it's an inaccurate thing to say. I just don't think it's going to be... I don't think it's the correct sort of assessment here. People just want to be fucking angry. And for good reasons. Because, well, you know, a lot of the stuff that I mentioned earlier.
Is the issue of abortion. When we message to young men on abortion, or men in general, we do it from the position of, well, real men protect women. And if you care about the women in your life, you should be pro-choice. And that might be true. That is true. But we don't come at it from the approach of this is the reality that young men face about that issue. Because it's entirely possible that a young woman in college gets pregnant unexpectedly, and that could upend her life if she doesn't have access to abortion care. But it's also entirely true that the young guy who gets her pregnant, now he's on the hook to not only take care of this child that could be him, that could be coming into the world, but also to take care now of the mother of his child. And I think that it would be so much easier if we just understood that the problems we're having with young men shifting to the right, it's not because they don't agree with us on the policy. They do agree with us on the policy. It's because they feel like we don't understand the struggles they're facing, the actual struggles, not the perceived struggles of the masculinity crisis or whatever it is, the actual struggles. And instead, we just kind of want to blame them for all of our problems.
Right. I think there's a lot of...
That's a pretty good point, yeah. Broadly speaking, that's the same shit that I'm basically saying. This purely the failures of, well, liberal pop feminism, right? It's all fucking liberal pop feminist fucking bullshit, right? Except the problem is that it's kind of ignorant of the fact that, again, the biggest problem with the Democrats is that they don't believe in anything, right? I don't disagree with what Olivia is saying. Like, she's not wrong. She's correct when she's saying this stuff. The biggest issue is that Dems just don't believe in anything. They believe in nothing. They believe in the good things. What are those good things? I don't know. Fucking, like, roll the dice and, like, maybe you can fucking figure out what those good things that you think they believe in are. Okay? That could range in terms of, like, basically anything, right? That is the biggest fucking problem with the Dems. Because at least with the Republicans, they believe in something. They believe in stuff. It's all wretched and terrible. They have a sort of broader narrative that they push for and they speak to. The issue is like, well, they're all lying, right? It's a lie for the most part. But the Democrats don't really have any of that fucking messaging. They don't do the same type of, like, just a complete anger, hate, vitriol type stuff as, like, the Republicans do. And they don't really have a broader narrative that they speak on. And so, like, that's why they're going to just keep fucking losing all the time. Because they don't believe in anything.
Of that I just fully agree with. I mean, we just don't message to men, right? As like we don't message in a way that resonates to men. Like something that you kind of responded to that I've seen a lot is, well, the reason why Republican messaging resonates with men is because men want bad things, right? So like men want to have sex and like own women, right? Like they want to dominate everybody, and Republicans say you get to do that, and then Democrats can't say that, so we just lost men, it's over, right? Like, What are you talking about? Like a lot of times it will be men that are liberals who will like agree with that shit. I'm like, dude, what are you like? What is going on? Like there's a lot of men that don't think that way, obviously, and it's just such a negative view to take on like half of the human race.
Well, I also think it's just...
I don't know. I still feel like we're still just grappling with the consequences of liberal pop feminism. Like, 2014 and Gamergate and its fucking consequences will haunt broader like politics for at least another generation, guaranteed. Because that's what it is, right? That's like the whole fucking meme. Garen fucking teed. It's all fucking Gamergate shit. It's all fucking Gamergate.
So abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys, and in that
Okay.
I realized like even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who support a Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
They're not talked to, right? And yeah, they're not welcome. That's true. Like there's a lot of times where it's like being like masculine characteristics or seem like they're frowned upon, and they're kind of welcomed and championed by the Republican Party. And like masculine characteristics are not characteristics that are intrinsically bad, right? And I think that some Democrats have presented it that way. Now, obviously not most Democrats, but
God, like, if they don't mention the fact that it's just because, like, fucking Democrats just, they don't have a broader message that they can speak to, then, like, I don't know, like, even if there's much of a point in fucking continuing with any of this, right? Because the Democrats they just don't believe in anything. That's the problem. The Republicans at least believe in something. It's terrible what they believe in, but it's something, so. And whatever. Hate to be that guy, but I feel like the U.S. will never escape fascism. That's kind of fucking. We got the cuck lefty perspective. Unfortunate. Listen, it's not about like I don't know whether like it can like the U.S. can escape fascism or whatever. Like that's like a meaningless fucking distinction. Like I don't know, like. Technically speaking, like no one can fucking like escape fascism because like all nation states will eventually deteriorate into like fascistic states eventually. Anyways, like given enough time, it'll always fucking happen under capitalism. But the main problem is capitalism, obviously. I just don't see how this culture fundamentally changes. There is no way of knowing for certain how the culture is fundamentally changes. You know, these things it's impossible to fucking know, right? Everything waxes and fucking wanes. Even like culture. Let's be honest here. Everything fucking waxes and wanes and changes all the fucking time. That's not like ridiculous to say. Who knows like what'll fucking happen, like, I don't know, tomorrow, all of a sudden the fascism spell will be fucking broken, right? That's, like, something that's entirely possible. Like, you just kind of have to just wait and see, right? Which is why, like, this sort of, like, idea that, like, we'll never escape fascism. It's just like, maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? Anything can kind of change and anything can fucking happen. Like, we don't know. We can't see into the fucking future, right? This shit has been escaped from before. It's been left in the dust before. Who is to say that, like, you know, that it can't, like, you don't know how it fucking fundamentally changes. I don't think anyone knows how it's gonna fucking fundamentally change. Let's be honest here. Like, all you can do then is just, like, just basically sort of wait and see what'll fucking happen.
It's like this perception that a lot of guys have had. In terms of issues, like good messaging is messaging that resonates with people's actual anxieties and lived experience, right? And so, yeah, like the Whatever podcast can resonate with men that are like incels or like struggling with women, right? Because a girl was mean to them or whatever, and they're able to project upon like those women which come on like look really dumb. They're able to say like, yeah, all women are like this. I feel better about myself. But there's all these other things that resonate probably more, which is like, man, shit's expensive, right? Like, man, I don't feel supported, right? Like, I don't feel like there's anywhere for me to go, right? I feel like if something bad happens to me, no one's there to support me. That's the thing that a lot of men deal with because men are a lot of times kind of put in the box of supporting other people, so no one's there to support themselves. And it's like those are things that we can absolutely talk to. Actually, we could probably speak to better than the Republican Party.
Yeah, I think speaking to that is also understanding the mentality that they're coming from too. So another example is when you look at the polling of what are the issues that are the most important to young men, one of the top issues consistently is immigration. If you actually talk to a young guy about how he feels about immigration, am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about immigration. It's this.
Okay, so this is where, like, the problem with why immigration matters more now is because, and this is the fault of, guess who? The Democrats. This is the fault of the Democrats. The Democrats are the reason for as to why this is the fucking case. The problem is the fact that, whoa, guess what? Now, this may be a little crazy and ridiculous that this is happening, but the issue has sort of been, is basically the fact that Democrats themselves basically fell back on the issue of immigration. That is the fucking problem. The Democrats are the main factor for as to why thoughts on, like, immigrants are as bad as they are. Let's be fucking honest here. It's because of the fact that they just decided to go along with a lot of the Republican narratives and fucking bullshit on immigration, and that is why, whoa, a lot of people want to see, like, immigrants in, I don't know, basically bars. They just want to kill them or something. That's the main reason for that shit. It's not because of, like, yeah, young men, I don't think they would really give much of a shit at all about immigration, right? Most people don't really give much of a shit at all about fucking immigration. That's more like a sort of, like, I don't know, like, rural Republican thing. I'm not sure if that's, like, correct to say, per se. It's more, like, I'm trying to think of, like, what the best way to phrase this is. The main reason for as to why people care so much about immigration is because, again, the Democrats lack a fucking spine, and they decided to fucking back off of immigration. Like, for what? I don't know. Because, like, Joe Biden's a fucking stupid racist, right? He himself also acts very similarly to a lot of the Republicans that, you know, you're supposed to not, like, allegedly like or some shit. That's the main fucking problem. It's because Democrats, fundamentally speaking, don't believe in anything, and as a result, and this might be, you know, crazy to say, due to the fact that they don't believe in anything, whoa, they, you know, lose it with fucking young men. Lose it not even just with young men, with, like, broadly every fucking demographic, because everyone can broadly acknowledge that the Democrats just believe in nothing. And people can sense that. There is no fucking narrative for people to latch onto, to get interested in, to get animated by. Because the Democrats don't care about signaling to any of these things. They don't care. The main problem is the party itself. It's just a decrepit, old, defunct fucking party that is trying to still implement and utilize fucking strategies from the fucking, what, like, the 1980s and shit like that in a modern context. It's just, it doesn't fucking work.
This idea of scarcity and competition of, if you're a young man in America, you are expected to go to college or go to a trade school, get a certification, get a degree. Then you're expected to get a high-paying job. And then once you get your high-paying job, you're expected to find your wife and to buy a house and to have kids.
My wife.
All of these things. And if you don't do that, then you're a failure because you are the man and you are the provider. And if you can't provide, then you're not actually a man. And so we set, the Republicans specifically, they set this expectation and then they make it almost impossible for young men to actually do those things. Whether it's through not raising minimum wage, whether it's through the price of tuition going up, all these different things. And so what ends up happening is you have these young guys who they're working every single day. They're working on oil rigs, they're working at Amazon warehouses, maybe they work a 9-to-5 job. They're working every single day and they're still not getting ahead. So then we force...
Okay, again, she's not wrong, but Democrats are they're just not making that pitch because, again, they don't care anything. They don't care about anything. That's the main problem. Democrats believe and fucking nothing. And so, guess what? Whoa. They lose to the Republicans because it's like, why should we bother with the guy who doesn't fucking believe in anything and doesn't have a narrative for, like, I don't know, some kind of, like, future improvement of the country? Why should we bother with any of that shit? Who the hell cares? We're just gonna move on with our lives, right? So shut up, Ford. Fuck you.
Force young men to make this decision of either you can blame yourself or you can blame others. And if you're a young guy and you're working 8 to 12 hours a day, if you're paying all your bills, you're doing everything you can, and you're still not getting ahead, why do we expect them to think that they're the problem? They're doing everything that they've been told to do their entire life. And so that kind of little nagging, insecure voice in the back of the head, that's where Republicans really push through that ideology and get to young men, is because then they can convince them, well, this is the person whose fault it is. It's not your fault that you can't get ahead in America. It's the immigrants who are coming here. It's their fault because they're taking your high-paying jobs.
Right. And this hits on something that's so true. It's not that...
I mean, this isn't, like, I mean, again, what they're saying, it's not exactly wrong, but again, like, the Democrats are not making any, like, positive pitches in any, like, sense of the imagination either, right? In terms of, like, you know, here's what we can, like, here's how we can, like, improve the situation. Like, they'll do, like, stupid, annoying, like, policy wonkery or whatever, talking about, like, I don't know, SALT deductions or some shit. Like, no one gives a fuck about any of that shit, okay? It's all about fucking vibes, and the vibes of the Democrats are just bad, right? Like, sometimes it's really fucking stupid, but sometimes it's just that simple, right? I agree that this is fucking dumb, that this is the sort of, like, position that we have to, I don't know, saddle ourselves with, okay? That the fact that, I don't know, people are, like, stupid, dumb idiots who, I don't know, like, just fall for vibes every single time. The Democrats are just not as good as the Republicans at projecting vibes. They're just not good at that. That's not what they're good for. Like, again, policy wonkery, fine, cool. Yeah, I agree. In terms of policy, the Democrats are significantly better. But in terms of, like, projecting, like, a sort of, like, future that's worth, like, fighting for like, America or whatever, they don't do that, right? They just expect their policy wonkery. It's like, well, we're better on policy, so we're gonna do that. They should do, like, I don't know. Here's a fucking freebie for, like, Democratic consultants. None of those charlatans are ever going to click on this video. But hey, you know, if they do, I hate you. First off, I hate you people. Your fucking $20 million ad campaign's going to fail miserably. But my shitting on them aside, you want to know something? Okay, here, easy. A vote for a Democrat is a vote for someone who will protect your fucking job. Someone who will go after the fucking billionaires. Because fuck those fucking people. You think the fucking Republicans are going to go after those people? Nah. They've been constantly letting them run out of the back with the fucking goddamn money every single fucking time, okay? Look at these fucking conniving little fucking bastards, okay? You see all these fucking tax cuts these motherfucking Republicans have passed? Like, for example, recently, big beautiful bill, big fucking tax break for all the fucking corporations and the rich. Fuck these motherfucking stupid, sniveling, cowardly conservative Republicans who keep passing all these fucking tax cuts for the rich. There you go. It's a, you know, quick random example, but again, what's the point there? The vitriol and the fucking hatred. That is the first and foremost thing that's being put out there. And that's never going to fucking happen, right? That's never going to fucking happen. It's a narrative for, like, I don't know. Here, we can also, like, sort of, like, wrap it up in, like, all in, like, a neat little bow. You want to fucking be able to provide your, for your fucking kids? You want to be able to have a good fucking life? Okay. You put me in, we're going to go after all the motherfuckers that who've basically made it so that your life is going to be 10 times fucking worse. These fucking sniving, conniving, little motherfucking stupid dumb fuck billionaires. These pieces, these wretches, these fucking horrid, rancid pieces of shit. And that's a narrative that I think will work. I think that's a narrative that's going to be very, very effective. Be very clear as to who the fucking enemy is. It is the rich. It is the corporations. They are the fucking problems here. And you can still talk about, you know, like, minority rights and stuff like that. That's all going to come, like, sort of, like, naturally. You know, if you project a very, very clear message as to who are the people that are causing these problems. But the Democrats, they're never going to fucking go after that because they are the party of Wall Street, right? New York has been a solid blue fucking goddamn what? Has been a solid blue sort of state for God knows how long at this point, for like how many fucking hundreds of years or some shit or whatever. Not hundreds of years, or how many fucking decades. They're never gonna fucking do that because, again, their corporate masters are the fucking oligarchs. That's the fucking problem. And so, you know, the whole, like, I don't know, propaganda of, like, oh yeah, you know, if we just, like, keep doing, like, funny, funky policy wonkery, it's gonna be really effective. Nah, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna be enough. Just won't be.
People are intrinsically prejudiced against immigrants. I mean, certainly some people are, but most people are not. The critical mass of Americans that say they care about immigration are not. It's that Republicans have made immigration an economic issue. They made it an everything issue. I mean, they point to immigrants and they say, these...
Yes, and again, what did the Democrats fucking do? They capitulated. That's the fucking issue. They decided to give the whole narrative on immigration to the Republicans. That is the problem.
These are the people that are taking away your livelihood, the safety of your family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, like, that's a lie. It's a vicious lie, but it's a lie that you can perhaps understand people believing if they have no other explanations offered to them. And I think there's something else about this that's really insightful. It's men are looking for an explanation about why things kind of suck in their lives, right? And so if you look at a lot of the content that men like watch, well, some of it's, you know, this right-wing content. A lot of it's like self-help stuff, right? Like, who's the most into self-help? It's men. And what does the self-help say? It's your mind. It's your thought process. That's the reason why things suck, right? And it's not that people are even always eager to blame someone else. They're just eager to have an explanation, a solution to the suffering they're facing in their lives.
I had a really in-depth conversation a few weeks ago with some other content creators where I was talking about the messaging that the Democratic Party uses so often. And we talk about the, you know, diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI. And I think where we've kind of fallen into this trap is we have made the party exclusive by trying to make it inclusive. And what I mean by that is every room we walk into, the messaging that we're using is different. Every single one of them. And I think that that's the wrong way to go about it. I think we should have one specific, this is the message we use on this issue. Because people are going to interpret that message however they want to interpret it. Everyone has their own form of cultural competency. So, and I think what Trump in particular is they kind of just say the same thing over and over again. And then if they ever change their opinion on it, they just say it with so much confidence that it's hard to convince people that that's not what they meant. So for us, I think it's just, we should just be saying the same thing about the same issue over and over and over again and let the voters decide.
Yeah, you want to know who the guy was, which guy was doing that? His name was Bernie Sanders. He was the guy who was doing that. In 2016, the whole time, consistently talk about how it's the oligarchs, it's the rich, it's the billionaires, they are the ones who are causing all of these economic problems within the United States of America. And guess what? Oh, the fucking Democrats snubbed him. So, like, are you people fucking surprised that, hey, guess what? Not a lot of people probably have much trust or belief in the sort of, like, sort of the positions that the Democrats sort of propose in terms of economics? Or, like, in general, as, like, I don't know, the current sort of propaganda that Democrats are trying to push for, and that is that they're, like, the main stewards of democracy. Like, this is the sort of problem. Like, in terms of, like, the policies, they're not wrong. Like, I don't think they're, like, I don't think they're like wrong. The problem is like they're not sort of addressing the main sort of problems, and that is the fact that, well, again, with Democrats, the vibes are just wretched, and they're not good at herding cattle. The Republicans are really good at herding cattle. And yeah, like you're saying, I don't know if I 100% agree with that, Boy Meets Mini. Like, I think Americans probably have some semblance and understanding of basic economics. They can see the price tag on food fucking rising, and they can be like confused as to like, why the fuck is this happening? Why are food prices so fucking high? People, I think, broadly speaking, everyone fucking understands that kind of language, right? The issue is that like the Democrats don't ever really fucking talk about that, and the dude who was constantly talking about that fucking issue, or who would have talked about that issue constantly, got snubbed by the party because again, this is a party that doesn't believe in anything. That's the main fucking problem. It's a party that believes in nothing besides, I don't know, like Wall Street corporate capture of itself, and that's really about it. What if we ran progressive Republicans? The real dark woke, right? That's like the whole meme with like the woke right and shit like that, you know? I think so. That's like the whole weak right shit. Not weak right, woke right fucking bullshit, right? That stuff.
What it means through their own cultural lens, instead of telling them specifically what we mean every single time.
Right. The issue with pandering is it looks like you're pandering.
Yeah.
You don't seem genuine whenever you're saying something different in two different rooms with different demographics in them. Even if you are being genuine, but sometimes it's just not, right? Like the Kamala Harris's agenda for black men, I don't think that really went anywhere because it just seems so kind of contrived. It seems so like...
Well, and this is the same thing, it's the same thing that Hillary Clinton did, where they'll, like, you'll have people on the right throw out these claims of, like, well, what are you doing for this group? And we'll have these long-winded, like, explanations with these details and these figures, and then we can go out and talk about it so we're blue in the face, but at that point, the conversation's already moved on, because they didn't actually care about the answer, they cared about how they felt about the answer. And so...
Yeah, that's like, okay. Now we're starting to get somewhere interesting. Yeah, exactly. It's all about vibes, and the Democrats' vibes are just bad. Just wretched. The vibes are off. They're not good. Listen, the Democrats are not putting on good funk edits in the fucking, like, on the Discords or in TikTok or some shit. Like, unironically, like, it sounds really fucking stupid. Because it kind of is. It is really fucking stupid. But, like, unironically, the fucking Democrats just don't have very good funk edits on fucking TikTok and shit like that. You know, like, I'm being, like, somewhat hyperbolic here, but that is part of the problem.
So I feel like we just get into these specifics so frequently that, frankly, like, people just don't care about.
But we need simple ideas that you articulate all the time, right? It's like, for instance, build more housing, right? And somebody says, well, how does that benefit this group? It's like, well, do you live in housing? Like, there's some big economic issues that hit everybody. Affordability is one of the most central ones. And that's something that we should champion. And the good news is it helps everyone, right? It's not just good policy all the time, but it's also like we don't need to have different messages for different groups, in large part because there isn't different policy solutions for different groups. Like, targeted policies are usually ones that are kind of watered down, right? They're kind of less, you know, like increasing funding for specific grant programs for certain races of businesses. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, I do agree. The whole fucking, like, neoliberal sort of, like, liberal, I don't know, sort of desire for policy wonkery when that's not necessary. I mean, that's the same argument that the fucking abundance agenda is making, but, you know, the problem with the abundance agenda and abundance liberalism is the fact that, well, with abundance fucking liberalism, the main issue there is that they're completely unwilling to critique capital. Capital is the main fucking problem. Who are the main people that constantly get in the way of, like, good fucking policy? It's, well, capital owners. And I mean, these guys are not really talking about billionaires either, to be honest. So I would also throw that exact same criticism of the abundance agenda also here on Olivia and Micah. Have these guys at any point in time talked about the issues with the concentration of wealth? No, they've not mentioned any of that shit. Because in reality, that is honestly the biggest problem, is the fact that so much wealth has been concentrated in such a small amount of hands. But we're talking about liberals here, right? Like, liberals will never make that fucking fundamental critique.
Great and all, and we've had that for a long time. But that's not going to fix the big economic inequality and opportunity issues we have in this country. The only thing that could do that is dramatic investments, is a huge expansion of the social support system, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the kind of stuff that we should probably focus on talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You look at things like, the healthcare plan, or, homeowners, like first-time loans up to this amount or this percentage. I need
no one
Democrats
gives a fuck about
to
that
start
shit.
talking like, well, what's your healthcare policy? My healthcare policy is healthcare should be good and cheap.
Right, because he doesn't explain, like, I'm going to do price transparency, like a price statute, and I'm going to expand the premium tax credit, whatever. Like,
no.
Republicans never say the word tax credit. Why do we say the word tax credit all the time?
I think it's because we're still operating in this.
Because you people still think it's the 1980s. That's why Democrats still think it's the fucking 80s for some fucking reason. That's the reason. Like, unironically, it's just like a fundamental just like inability to get with the times. That's what it really is, right? Like, unable to get with the times, fundamentally speaking. Like, they just can't get, like, with the times, I suppose it's pretty much the correct it's pretty much the accurate term to say here. Like, Democrats are wholeheartedly just unable to sort of, like, I don't know, not speak to, like, the anxieties or whatever. They're just not able to fucking, like, message to people. The messaging is just bad. The vibes are also just bad. And, like, no one is willing to be, like, I think it's, like, hip or cool or epic to be a fucking Democrat. Like, that's, like, one of the main fucking problems. It's silly.
It's, like, fallout of Reagan, Bill Clinton mentality. But the difference is that most Democrats don't have the charisma that Bill Clinton had. And so, instead of leaning on the
charisma that Bill Clinton had is certainly a term which can be used to describe Bill Clinton. Charisma is a term. Yeah, that's a term that can be used to describe Bill.
Charisma, they lean on the details, and I just don't think it translates the same way. We just come off as a bunch of dorks. Like, that's just the truth. We just come off as a bunch of dorks. Nobody wants to listen to a dork.
I think voters like people they think are smart, but they don't like people that they don't understand, right? They want to feel like they understand what you're saying and it's smart, not just like, I don't understand what they're saying, therefore they're smart, right? And they also like simple solutions, right? Like we don't need to talk about each detail of each healthcare policy. We can just say, like you said, what we're going to do, right? And you can tell people the basic details about how you're going to do it. But you don't need to really get in the weeds. And you also don't need to talk about 20 things at once. I think that's part of the issue with the Democratic coalition. The Republican coalition is like, we want border security, tax cuts, whatever. There's like 5 things that they actually care about. And then there's minor things. And for the Democrats, it's like, well, we're really diverse, actually. We want a lot of different things. But we need to learn to prioritize, because not every issue deserves to be brought into the spotlight just for any reason. Whenever you go to a door as a Democrat and you knock on the door to talk to a voter about the things that your party supports, they should already know what those things are. If they don't, that means that you're not doing a good job messaging. If you go to somebody, you ask.
Again, like, the thing is I don't disagree with this fucking sentiment that's being, like, sort of laid out here. The problem is like what I've been describing earlier. There is, like, no narrative or anything that the Democrats are for. Like, if we're talking about a Republican, okay, what are they for? They are for, like, I don't know, raising the birth rates, for example, right? Because if we don't raise the birth rates, there's going to be, like, a civilizational collapse because there's not enough babies or some shit. Like, the stupid pronatalism bullshit or whatever. That's, like, a narrative that, I don't know. I don't even know if it's like accurate to say that it resonates with like voters, but you know, like people can broadly speaking sort of like pick up on and understand that pretty easily, right? Like as silly and ridiculous as that sounds. Like I've been saying, I guess broadly speaking, it's just the biggest issue is that Democrats just, they don't fucking believe in anything. There is just no sort of like national civic project there. It's just nothing. Like, at least with the Republicans, there is something there. It's terrible, it's wretched, it's evil, and they're not being truthful about it at all. But it's something. It's something that can speak to people. And that's why it's effective. Yes, and like you're also saying, Boy Meets Minute, yeah, Republicans do have institutional grip on like churches and police and stuff like that. I mean, like, I don't even know, like, it's not that, I don't know if like institutional grip really matters all that much, to be honest. I don't disagree with that. The thing is like, it's just that they are able to sort of like speak to and hearken to something, whereas with the Democrats, they're just wholeheartedly incapable of doing that. I don't think anyone in particular cares, especially amongst like young men. I think like old voters, they don't give a shit about the fucking institutions, right? Like no one cares about that shit. All right, that doesn't matter. It's more so like, do you have like some story, some narrative, something that you think in or believe in order to be able to like sort of improve my life? That's what matters more to these people. And the Democrats never fucking speak to that, ever.
Ask them, what does Trump support? They're going to be able to list at least two things, probably. They can't list anything for Kamala Harris. $30,000 home buyer tax credit, whatever. No, there's 0% chance.
No one's going to give a shit about that.
Because there's just so many ideas and they're all so contrived.
Well, no, that's not true. They'll say that she supports sex changes for transgender illegal aliens in prison.
A center of her platform, yes.
It was a center part of her platform.
I don't understand why like Democratic operatives keep bringing up that fucking goddamn stupid fucking advertising campaign that the Republicans did one time. We know why. It's because they want to throw trans people under the bus. That's why. That's not the fucking issue. Again, like, no one fucking thinks that. Only the fucking schizo Republicans fucking think that Kamala Harris fucking believes in that shit. Which, unfortunately, the most of them. So, it's really dumb. It's really silly, sure. But, like, the thing is, like, they just don't believe anything. The vibes are just off. They are really bad. And they just don't push for anything. That's the problem. Because they're trying to also have the same sort of corporate capture over the exact same fucking interests that have control of the Republicans. That's the fucking problem. So, hot take, I think Democrats need to lean in on the anti-immigrant sentiment. Otherwise, they lose. Republicans stomp all over them with the border wall. I disagree. I don't agree with that. I'll be fucking honest. Like, the reason why we're in this mess to begin with, Boy Meets Minnie, is because of that sentiment. Right. I think we can broadly agree with that. The reason that currently exists is because of the fact that, well, you know, that is a sort of attitude that, well, exists for some fucking reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the same thing over and over again. It's kind of like, you know, guys, what are we doing here? I think of it as America, or voters in general.
I don't think so, Boy Meets Minnie. I don't agree with this. I don't think they're just doo-doo dumb brain fucking morons, okay? I don't think so. I don't think that's like I do agree that American voters are fucking idiots. They are stupid, okay? They are very, very fucking dumb individuals, okay? That's not what I fucking disagree with. And the problem is that Democrats are just not very good at sort of like, herding around those fucking sheep as effectively as the Republican Party, right? We can broadly speaking sort of agree on that. Like, these sort of like, not vestiges, but ways that like Republicans are able to speak to a lot of like anti-immigrant sentiment is quite good, but is not quite good, but like quite effective politically for them. The problem is that Democrats, since they believe in nothing, They just kind of went along with all that shit. Joe Biden went along with all the fucking stupid anti-immigrant shit that the Republican Party was fucking pushing. With like that dumbass fucking bill that he signed, which was dog shit. That's the fucking problem. It's because this is a party that doesn't believe in anything. And if they believed in something, they would have been fighting to try to, do something about all the wretched and horrible shit that the Republican Party is pushing for. But they're not. They're just sitting back and, I don't know, like, they're talking with the Baileys. The Baileys are more important, or whatever the bullshit that dumbass fucking Chuck Schumer is doing. That's the issue.
When they're deciding who they want to vote for, they want a mom and they want a dad. Not to be homophobic, because there can be, same-sex parents here. They want a mom and a dad. They want someone who, in times of uncertainty, can bring them comfort and can make them feel like there's someone there for them.
We love
And then they
Oedipus
also want
shit.
Someone who's going to be stern, who's going to have their back, and who's going to say the tough things that need to be said. And I feel like we try to offer voters comfort, but instead of coming across as like mom or dad, we kind of come across as like the aunt who you kind of don't like her, but she gets you really good Christmas presents. So like every once in a while you'll go visit. Like I feel like that's kind of how we come across as like, well, I don't really trust the Democrats and I don't really like them that much, but the Affordable Care Act was cool. And like that's kind of the extent of it. Is how people feel about us most of the time.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the family theory of partisan politics in the United States.
I don't know if I 100%... Like, I mean, I get... Like, that's part of the reason why we're even in this sort of, like, position to begin with. I don't know. I do think... Like, I mean, I guess in terms of a lot of the prescriptions, like, broadly speaking, the criticisms there are... They're fine and whatever. The fact that there's basically, like, no mention of... that there is no fucking mention of just the fact that I mean, there was mention of just the vibes being off and that being the main reason. But again, like, what is, like, the main fucking problem with the fucking Democratic Party? It's the fact that they're trying to sort of have the same appeal to the same interest groups and powers that the Republicans are having. And as a result, they're not able to really distinct themselves. So, that's kind of the main problem. That's probably the biggest reason why the fucking goddamn Democrats are never going to be effective is because they keep trying to be Republican light when people do not want that. No one fucking wants that. Except for, I guess, like, conservatives. But it's just annoying that, like, the sort of positions that the sort of like talks and conversations about all this stuff is always just going to fucking boil down to, yeah, man, it's just because, like, Democrats are stinky doo-doo heads who just can't do anything, and the Republicans are the ones who will always have the fucking initiative, which is correct and true, but, like, I don't know, it doesn't have to just be that way. It's just that it is a party that fundamentally just believes in nothing and has no fucking narrative. That is always going to be the main issue with the Democratic Party, is that they just believe in fucking nothing. And at least with the Republicans, they do believe in stuff. It's terrible, it's wretched, it's horrid. It's something, though. And that's why they're always just going to fucking dog walk all over the fucking Democrats every single time. But, these annoying dumbasses at the, these dumbass annoying fucking consultants who need to be fucking gotten rid of. Like, stop listening to these dumbass consultants, and then maybe you'll start to actually win some fucking elections, Democrats. And then, maybe this sort of, like, malaise that we find ourselves in will finally be, like, I don't know, halted. I don't know. That's really all I can say about that. It's just the consultants and the fact that the Democrats don't believe in anything. That's, like, the sort of, like, main reasoning for as to, well, why the Democratic Party kind of like broadly speaking finds itself in. And the vibes are just bad, and the Democrats don't believe in anything, so they're never going to accomplish anything in terms of like or do anything in order to sort of combat that stuff. That's probably the biggest problem.